Right. So obviously we're here with Steve Allison, who, in fact, you tell us what you do. Tell us about your the brand, company, everything.
What? Just that? Oh, just that quickly off the top of my head. Right. Okay.
Well,
There's a
just give
lot.
us
There's a lot there.
just give us a little overview.
Little overview. Okay. So basically, we are a little sprint and track day team, but we also manufacture and sell our own parts as well as our sponsors' parts. But we specialize in Mazda 2s. So it was Neil that came up with the actual team about 2 years ago, and kind of we were all just accidentally running the same cars then. So that was all those little Yaris's, and then we kind of took that a lot further by doing the same kind of thing. But then we discovered that we couldn't take the Mark III Yaris any further, at a reasonable cost without throwing thousands and thousands of pounds at development. So it was kind of, we needed to look for another car that was like kind of tunable, but keeping it within what every, normal person can afford. So at the time, Neil had another Mazda 3, a DJ version. So we took that to a sprint day, and that went very well. But that was out, that was just a standard car. Even the guy that was doing the tuition and the instruction on the day, he was very impressed with it out the box. So he was making remarks such as, "Oh, I wonder what it'd be like if you could actually prepare it for the track." And then we kind of diverted from the Yaris's onto the Mazda 2s, and that brings us kind of full circle of where we are today. Kind of, I'm running the DJ and Neil's running a DE for different bits and pieces. So, and we do, obviously, we put our own track days as well, keeping the engine size at a minimum so people can come along that are new to track days and new to sprinting, but can do it in a controlled and safe manner, so they don't get frightened that they haven't got a 900 horsepower Evo flying up behind a 100 horsepower Mazda 2 and
What,
just want to
the
be,
chaos at the Nürburgring.
well, yeah. I mean, I've done track days and stuff. I've been at this a long time now. Um, But I've been to track days where you've had like, Evos and Subarus with, and all kinds of things with triple the horsepower coming up behind you and thinking just because they've got a 900 horsepower car or whatever, they're Michael Schumacher to my, Rubens Barrichello and want to push me around the circuit. But then, you find that later on that one of the times at Croft, I had a Clio 182 back then, and it was, not massively tuned, but it had bits and pieces on it from K-Tech Racing, and that was fine. And the guy in the black Evo with 800 horsepower, looking like a time attack car, was doing, you know, making a bit of a bully of himself. But it's okay because later on, his 800 brake horsepower Evo dropped all its oil and was parked up next to the barrier. So it was kind of one of them things. It shot its own engine, and there's me toddling around in my little Clio, and it puts you off, to be honest. It's kind of one of them things that put some people off to go to these track days, when you've got all these things. So we kind of keep it, to a reasonable engine size, so everybody's got time enough and space enough to not keep watching the rear view mirror, but to watch what's in front of them, you know.
Yeah, no, I get you. That makes sense. So you're aiming yourself more towards like entry level racers, or not even racers. They don't have to compete.
Enthusiasts, entry level enthusiasts, and people that haven't got thousands and thousands of pounds to throw at a car. They just want to go and have a bit of fun, but then they enjoy tinkering with the car. They enjoy a couple of hours valeting. They enjoy, you know, um, going across, B roads and just having a little bit of fun, but keeping it to a level where everybody can afford everything that we offer. You know, we're not in it to make money. We're enthusiasts first before we're actually, business people. Me and Neil have still got day jobs. So we still do our normal, day's work, and then we come home and sort out the customers and work out what we're going to develop next and everything else. So we get paid the same as everybody else that we're dealing with.
So the day job thing, we'll come back to that. But so most of the people that come to these events and go around the track with you, are they driving to the track? Are they trailering the cars, or
No, 99% of them drive to the track.
so drive there?
Well,
Are we
drive.
doing wheel changes or tire changes, or are we just using road tires?
Some people that can afford two sets of wheels will bring two sets of wheels and have like a sporty-ish tire, you know.
Mm.
But then the majority just turn up and drive, drive around in what they've turned up in. They don't have, tires cost money. Another set of wheels costs money, so it's kind of, people just arrive, drive their cars, see what they feel like, and then, you know, move on to the next thing, kind of thing.
So talking about day jobs, what can we ask? What do you actually do in the day?
So I spent all my life doing chemical logistics, from 17 up till about 5 years ago, and then I changed jobs and moved to the other side of the country, where I now work in a chemical factory, and we produce all kinds of cleaning stuff. From at the moment we're concentrating on COVID killing products, hand washes, this spray that we've developed that kills COVID. All the hand gels, we do those. But when before that, we make stuff that cleans things like beer lines, or we create car polish and car valeting gear. But obviously, times have changed and we've had to diversify a little bit. And
So,
as
oh, go on, sorry.
and as for Neil works for a company that looks after the national grid and they look after wind farms
So
to make sure.
nothing car related or anything like that. Yeah, this is literally a hobby turned business.
Yeah, I did do a stint a few years ago where the company I worked for originally laid me off for 2 years, so I went and worked for Vauxhall. And that was that was an eye-opening experience, should we say? And it was around the time. It was around the time when they've brought the first VXR Astras out. So I got my hands on all them. So that was fun. Yeah. So there was the upside of it, but then the most of it was the downside of it. So I was glad to get out in the end, to be honest.
I'm not a big Vauxhall fan. But getting away from the tangent. So what I want to know is, what is it about Mazda 2s that um, makes them so good on the track for entry level or potential racers?
So what we looked at the time is, what obviously when we came to the end of the Yaris thing, was we looked at also, because we wanted to obviously start a little business and find like a niche in the market. Obviously we looked at, like, Suzuki Swifts, but there's a company out there, a very good company out there that has already conned the market on that. There's loads of stuff out there for Fiestas. There's stuff out there for Vauxhalls. So we can't compete against big businesses like that. And it was only because we'd had a couple of people ask for parts for Mazda 2s randomly. I don't know why. I don't know how that came about. And obviously Neil had the Mazda anyway, so it was kind of put it to the test, see what it was like. And then from that, because the little testing thing that we did went okay, we started to delve into where the engine had come from and what kind of engine it is, and how should we say pliable it is to having performance mods. And especially for the newer car, we worked out obviously the engine is tunable and wants to be tuned. It will respond to being tuned, where the Yaris didn't. The Yaris just was built in a way that it just didn't want to be tuned. And obviously the chassis on them were good anyway, so they wanted you to drive a bit quickly around B roads and things like that. So it was kind of, we looked at all that, and obviously you're only dealing with 100 horsepower, so it's never going to be, it's never going to be, you're never hunting for massive power figures or anything like that. You're just basically turning the car from a normal supermarket doing the daily chores to a little warm hatch that will give you a little bit of fun on the track and on B roads. And that's where we found that all the modifications and the parts that were available at the time are out there, but they just kind of needed to be put together in a nice little package and then tested. And that's what we've done. So it we've had there's a friend of the team as well who's a professional racing driver. We've had him along to test the DE version, which is based on a Mark 6 Fiesta. So it's got the same chassis as the Mark 6 Fiesta. And with all the mods on that, he took that around the track on a open track day. And he's the guy that I've showed you the pictures on, where he's chasing that Lotus down. And he's actually Jack. He's a rear wheel drive specialist. So it's kind of the first time he's been in a front wheel drive car like on the track to to use it on a track, should we say. And he came away very impressed, and he was very positive in his reaction to say, well, if you take it a little bit further and you do this and you do that and you improve this and improve that, it's a great little car, but it doesn't cost the earth.
No, yeah,
So
I get you. But I mean, at the same time, I think because they are good little daily cars, I think you need to get on track in something that hasn't got much power.
if you can drive a slow car fast, then you should be able to drive a fast car fast. But there's no point starting at the top of the tree, working your way back down. You might as well start at the bottom of the tree and work your way up, because otherwise, especially somewhere like Croft, if you're heading into Tower Corner and you've got you don't get your line right and you go through and you go off, you're going to go into the farmer's field. And at that point, you just all your confidence and all your the way that you look at it will all be gone. You'll scare yourself to death.
So, have Mazda 2s got the potential to run big power?
No, you'll never. You're only ever gonna with a for the DJ version, you can really push and push, and you can maybe get up to 200 horsepower. But on a reasonable day for the mods that we're looking at, you're gonna get around about 100. You maybe get up to 150 brake. But at the level that we're competing at, and in the class of car that we're in, and obviously doing the sprints in the classes that we're in, you don't need any more than that, because it's a level playing field. So when it comes down to times, you're gonna save more time with good tires and good suspension and good brakes, rather than actually power over substance kind of thing. So when we put the DJ on track and it only had 106 horsepower, we were still setting times better than a 205 GTI, a couple of Subarus, a couple of Mazda MX-5s. So it's not only down to the car, it's down to the driver. So you don't know what those drivers' experiences are. You don't know, how they feel in their cars. It's just that it's enough for where we, for where we are at the moment and what we're doing. In the future, we might move on to say, a Mazda 3, which you can get a lot more power out of. It just depends where we want to go and what we want to do. But unless you've got, nowadays, unless you've got like what, 25, 30 grand for a hot hatch, a proper hot hatch, it's it's just too much. We can't afford that ourselves. We can't afford to pay monthly for a car. We can't. So if you buy a car for 1,500 quid, 2 grand, and then you throw another couple of grand at it, you've got a car that will get you back to work, every day. But also you can take it to the track and have a little bit of fun. So that's the whole. That's what we're about.
I know we've spoke before about MX5s and how they're sort of phasing out now. But will you just give us like a rundown of, obviously, we spoke before about the Mazda 2 being a possible replacement for the MX5.
Yeah. So the guys that run the MX5 series that contacted us wanted us to look at building the Mazda 2 DE into a replacement for the Mark 1 MX5, because obviously it costs a lot of money to get on track to do proper racing, because you've got to have your ARDS license, you've got to have the car that's built to the what they call the blue book, so you've got to have your fire extinguisher in there, you've got to have your safety cage in there, you've got to have all your in-date racing gear, such as your helmet, your race suit, your gloves, your hands device, your seat's got to be in date. Once you start adding these costs in, you're looking at thousands and thousands of pounds, which, for people like myself, for you, for Neil, but for the most of the guys that we talk to, it's just an amount of money that to start off with is just immense, And plus, obviously, it's door-to-door racing, so you'll have to replace a door, a wing, a bumper. You could write the car off in one race. It's a dog eat dog, championship that they. But the people that have got out there doing that with their sponsors that use that then a launch to go into other things such as Genethas or going to like touring cars, can afford this kind of money. So what they wanted us to look at is because the MX5s Mark 1s are getting very expensive now, but they also need to be safe. So you can't just have any old chassis. They said they wanted an alternative option where you could start in, say, a Mazda 2 and then work your way up. So you could then have your Mazda 2 for a couple of years and then move on to, say, a Mark 3 MX5, and then into the Mark 4. So work your way up the series. So they want to see if it's a viable option. So we've got Avon. Avon have already made the tyres for us, but unfortunately at the moment it's looking, because of the amount of money, we're not actually going to make the grid this year, because the safety cage is just the amount of money is just slightly beyond us, and the safety gear as well. Neil's managed to the safety gear that we need is regular retail price, so all in is like 4 grand. We've managed to do a deal where we've got it down to about 2 grand, but we still just can't afford it because we've got no actual money sponsors. So it looks like it's going to be not doable this year, which is unfortunate, which is a bit disappointing for us. But it proves the point that it's very expensive.
I mean, the thing is, this year, obviously, like everyone's going on about it. It's been too difficult for smaller businesses. You know, are Honda still going to put a car out on a track somewhere? Well, of course they are, and it's an easy thing. But I think write this next 12 months off as a recovery time and just build back into it. I think a lot of people that see it through will actually be a lot better off for it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Jack, who does the Mazda Super Cup. Even his sponsors are pulling money out of him because obviously with COVID, they're not doing as well. So they're not giving him the money that he needs to get on track. And then what we'll find is like a lot of sponsors want to give you products and services rather than actual cash. So so like people like Yokohama that are one of our sponsors with our tires and give us discount off tires. They won't actually give you any physical free tires, and they won't give you actually any money, but they will give you discounts. So it's kind of, that's what businesses are doing. They're giving you products and services for less than half price or a discount. They won't actually give you money, and it's the money that at the moment we need to buy the safety gear and buy the roll cage, or sorry, get a roll cage made up, should we say? And that's what's stopping us. That's what's delaying us from developing more parts, because we haven't got the excess cash to throw at it.
So just a little. There's no actual roll cage specifically for Mazda 2s at the minute. Or...
The only one we found is off the shelf. The only one we found is from America. It's $5,000. That's to like go straight in. But people will say, we've had people say, "Oh, we'll use a Fiesta one." Yeah, we can maybe use a Fiesta one, but we until you actually, because nobody's done it. You take the dashboard out, you take the seats out, you try and put the cage in. You don't know whether Mazda put anything else in there that makes the cage not fit. But then if you get to that point where you put the cage in and you find that Mazda added something that the Fiesta didn't have, then that's more fabrication work, and then that's more money, and then that's where your bills start coming, because you've got to get things either removed or added. So again, it's money.
Well, this is probably a good time. So obviously, I'm joining yourselves when I'm back from a little world tour.
A little jaunt away.
Yes. So obviously for what are we now? The 2022 sort of season, as it was. But that's my intention, that over between December and when's the first race roughly?
If it was a normal year, the normal year would be when the calendar would come out in January and we would start in April. But again, because of what's going on this year and obviously what happened last year, it depends on, will the sprint series survive? It should do, yeah. But will there be, will they change it again? Will they add in different things? We just don't know. I mean, we're still waiting for dates for this year, to see what they're actually going to put out. But obviously, it depends on what's going to happen over the next few months.
Yeah, I think a lot of like shows and events like that, they've put their dates out because they have to reserve them. Because if COVID tomorrow just suddenly disappears, and we're getting closer to show season or whatever, and they haven't gotten booked, I think people forget that the showgrounds and the places where they're held, don't just cater to cars. It's also horse riding events and this and that. So they'll just be booked up. So I think a lot of people have been very, organisers have been very optimistic in putting dates out, and they don't actually know if they're gonna go ahead.
No, I mean we had a test day booked for the end of January, but obviously that's off now as well. Which we're trying to organise our own track day for April, but again that's up in the air. But we've got to book it. But we kind of, we're not going to take money off people yet, because obviously if you take money off people, you feel a bit bad if it doesn't go off. So and things like that. So it's just going to be, we're going to have to just sit and wait, and then as soon as things people say we can go forward, then we jump into action and get things booked and moved along quite quickly.
So it's very much a case of watch this space, keep an eye on. It's probably a good time to put out, like, so say someone watches this video and like, do you know what, I want to get in to track days. Where can they find out sort of when and where they're happening, and how to get the details down for them and stuff like that.
So we keep everybody up to date on our Facebook site. 2Racing on Facebook. So that's where you'll find everything on there, especially for like the track days and the rolling road days that we're going to try and do and things like that. So that'll be on there first, and then to book things, it'll be all on our website, 2racinguk.com. So that'll be, to book stuff and buy stuff. That's all on that website there. But majority of the time, we're putting stuff out on Facebook to keep people up to date. So yeah, so you shouldn't miss anything.
I'll obviously link them in the description bar and below the video. But yeah, so okay, so if we take sort of COVID out of it, and in an optimistic, ideal world, it just disappears, and that's it. So, where do you see the brand company in 5 years? What ideal? What happens?
If COVID goes away tomorrow and just disappears, first place I'm going is the pub.
Oh,
with all the team, because we all desperately need a night out. So that's the first place we're going. But it's a case of, for us, it's a case of judging what the car market's going to do as well, because not only are we keeping an eye on what our customers are doing, it's a case of keeping an eye on what cars are going to come to the UK, because obviously we were looking at obviously trying to do research on the newer Mazda 2 that's coming, but now now we've seen articles where basically they've done a deal with Toyota, so basically they're on about rebranding a Toyota Yaris as a Mazda 2, and it'll be built at the same plant in France. So basically, all it'll do is change the front bumper, the back bumper, and the lights, and basically there's your new Mazda 2. But it's kind of no good to us because it'll only come, if the rumours are true, it'll only come in an automatic 1.5 hybrid. So for an enthusiastic driver that wants manual gearbox, that's just not going to cut it, unless there's a way of tuning the CVT gearbox. But and obviously they're pushing electric cars and things like that. So we don't know. It all depends on the trends in the actual car market and what they're actually going to give us in the UK, because obviously America, Australia get other versions of the cars because of their emission laws, and we get something that's kind of, well, should we say, not great. So
yeah, I get you. But there's nothing wrong with an automatic car, as long as it's got flappy paddles.
well, yeah. People say that there's a delay on flappy paddle cars. So when they're changing up and changing down, there's a delay, so they prefer manual gearbox. But it's all, it's personal preference at the end of the day, what you like and what people, other people like. I don't know, but as a standpoint on track, I don't know. I've never actually tried one yet. Well, saying that, I actually did get invited to a Renault day a few years ago, where they gave us a Megane GT, the newest version, and that had flappy paddle gearbox, and that had an automatic gearbox, and if you held the paddles in, it actually engaged launch control, so it was all-wheel drive and all-wheel steer, and that was fun that was fun at Croft. They give us them to play with, so that actually worked well. But it depends if if they cater the car to just going backwards and forwards to the shopping, supermarket, or whether they make it a bit more spirited.
So
don't
the
know.
thing that I've found with them is, obviously mine's an automatic. I hated the gearbox. I know we spoke about this before. Hated the gearbox on the GT86 manual. It didn't feel right. It felt really
Sloppy.
No, like almost the opposite. like it was a real chore to change gear. So I was just going to scrap the idea, not buy the G86 and buy something else. Ended up driving a automatic. Went to go and look at another one while I was on the way home. Got in it and was like, oh, automatic. Well, I'll give it a go. Fell in love with it. Went on a test drive on my own, and yeah, brilliant. I tell you what, when you're coming down the gears, that noise is something else. You're going from 60, you can't go any more than 60. You come up to a sharp corner and you're dropping down to 30. That noise of going all the way down. Because in a manual car, people get lazy, even on B roads and stuff. They get into bad habits, and the block shifting. It's just not the same as It's like a little mini F1 car,
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it'll be a case of just going out and testing them, see what they're actually like. One of the guys, one of the guys that we're working with, when we speak to them, hopefully in the next couple of months, we're going to say, if the automatic gearboxes do come in, obviously with these hybrids, are they going to look at tuning them? Is there a way of changing changing the program and stuff like that? So that'll be interesting to speak to them to see whether they're, if it's something that they're going to look at. And hopefully, then if they do, then yeah, it might be a bit of a winner then, because it'll be more like it'll be a bit like Gran Turismo. You just set it to automatic all the time.
I don't know how I feel about. So my car, obviously, it's got fat lazy mode and then manual mode. And when you put your foot down and you've just left it in auto, you're on a motorway or whatever. And you decide to put your foot down, you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. Then it's we can go, we can overtake, we can do whatever. But I don't know how I feel about that on track. It's got a sport mode, but it's just not quite. It's not quite as quick as doing it yourself. It never will be.
I mean, if cars, different cars have got if you got things like DSG gearboxes, they are being proved to be quicker than a human. So, if it's got a DSG gearbox, like some of the say Golf GTIs and stuff like that, then it is quicker than a human. So it will save you time around the track.
Yeah, but they don't have foresight. You can see that you're coming up to a corner and you're ready, and you've prepared yourself. The problem is, and I've done it myself, where I put my foot down, think, in a manual car, say you're in fifth, sixth gear, whatever, on the motorway, and you think, oh, I just want to go up a little touch. So I'm not going to bother changing down. That's it. I can cope. As soon as you touch it, you've dropped down a gear, maybe two, and it catches you off guard. I don't think I'd like to be in that position on track where it decides to change gear and you're not ready for it.
Well, yeah. So then basically with that kind of thing, you'd have to learn to drive around it. If you kept the automatic, you'd have to drive around it. You'd have to adapt your driving style to the gearbox rather than the other way on.
Don't worry.
It basically then comes down to what your personal preference. What people like, what people don't like. I know everybody that we speak to likes manual gearboxes, but we've just got to realise, I think, that manual gearboxes are going to be shortly a thing of the past. Because you can't have a manual gearbox with a hybrid because they want it for emissions. So we're going to have to get a case of working the best of a bad situation because time's moving on and emissions are moving on and the country's moving on. So we've got to look at what we're going to be able to do. Otherwise, it'll all just things like what we do will just die out.
No, I get you, but I mean, there'll always be the market for running a car around a track. It'll just be an electric car, and it doesn't give you that warm warm tingly in your balls. Like,
Well, no.
I find it very difficult to get excited over electric cars, but they are quicker.
Yeah, yeah, massively quicker.
Um, there's no way around it. You know, you've got maximum torque right there. Um, you know, God, what is it? The that fat BMW, um, awful looking thing. The big square one, whatever that is. It's like 2.8 seconds or something ridiculous, 0 to 60. Like it's a bit slack after that, but it's quick off the line. I think you'd find it quite difficult to get a petrol car that'd match it for a similar sort of price.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking at, they're going to start replacing rallycross cars with electric cars now. They're going to start looking at, they'll start looking at WRC, the one all that electric. They'll move on to, I think TCR touring cars are moving. Some of that's moving to electric as well. But like you say, it doesn't give you that same buzz. There's no noise. There's no flames. There's no dump valves going off. It's all just sounding like you're riding around on a Dyson.
I'm interested to see where it goes as well. They're never going to get rid of um, petrol cars, but they'll just
Not yet.
automatically become like a classic, and they'll become less and less. But I mean, on the plus side, they'll then be worth a lot more.
Well, yeah. But then the government will try and tax them off the road.
And then try and do that anyway. That's partially the reason I got rid of the S2000. I was barely driving it, and it was blasting me with 500 quid every year.
Just ridiculous amounts of money. Just had the tax reminder for me Mazda 2. It's 20 quid. Get in there.
Sweet. I wish mine was. I'll tell you what, like I need rid of this car. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just been smashed. But yeah, going back to like the manual gearbox, automatic gearbox type stuff. The Mazda 2 that I intend to build will be manual. I'll have to sort of get used to that. It's been a little while since I've driven a manual car quickly. Driving work and stuff like that, but it's not the same. So, but I want to. It's going to be dedicated track car. I don't want to use it for anything else. So, go on.
It depends, and to be honest, it depends what kind of, class you end up in as well. So you could start with the street class rather than the pro class. So start off in street class, so you don't have to remove all the interior or anything like that. You don't need a safety cage and stuff. So it keeps costs down. So you can just, drive to the event in it, sprint it, go home, see how you feel, and learning all how to drive it quickly and things like that. And then the following year, then you could say, well, I'll move it in the class above, then start stripping it out, putting a cage in it, go for more aggressive tires, start trailering it there. But you add it all the time. You're adding a cost. So for a trailer, you're looking at 3, 4, up to £1,000, for a trailer. So you're adding more cost. The idea of what we're trying to put across is that you don't need, lots and lots of money, that you can build the car that does both. It does, it takes you, does the daily grind, the weekly grind, but then you can go to the track, sprint it, and go home, without it even, mourning or, breaking anything.
Trophy on the back seat.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. Exactly. You just keep your coat on the back seat. It's fine. And that's the whole point of the parts that we use as well. That the parts that we use don't cost a fortune. They'll do the job that needs to be done. We're not offering, £700 coilovers, because, again, if you put coilovers on, you're doing it the right way, then you need to have them set up properly, you know, and every couple of years, if you're using them on track, they need to be, should be refurbished or checked over. Some people just, put them on, leave them. That's not the way to do it. You need to put them on. But if you don't want to do that, then, the coilovers that we, offer can just be put on, set up once, and then just have your tracking checked every year or so. They're not, they don't have to be, mollycoddled, should we say? And plus, if the difference between, say, coilovers that we use and I've used, more expensive coilovers, is where they're so far up the range that my driving ability, or clubman enthusiast drivability, will never get to the point where you will overdrive that suspension. It's a level you'll get to years from now. So for the time being, instead of spending £700 or whatever it is, or more in some cases, you just put on the kit that you need, and gets you out there to feel that, can I do this? Do I enjoy it? Do I like being on track? Can I go hunting for time in my laps? And all that kind of stuff, because obviously, the setup that we've got is just a balanced, mid-range setup that you can get good times out of. And then once you progress on from that, then that's fair enough. If you want to go above that, then that's what we want to encourage you to go further. But for the meantime, for people that have got, normal jobs, and they can, don't have to spend thousands, this is what you can do.
So, do you guys do, say someone sat at home, I would really like the experience of driving around a track, but I just don't have that confidence. Do you guys have like a mentoring type, tutorage type thing going on?
Yeah. So if you want, we Jack, that obviously is one of our friends, and obviously, like we said before, is a professional racing driver. He does tuition days. So Jack Harding, if you go to his website, you can arrange a track tuition day or half day with him, at Blyton Park, or at a few other places. So he will teach you how to drive a car quickly around the track. And he's very good. I mean, I've been out with him a couple of times, and so has Neil. And again, that's where you make your improvements actually more, rather than the car. It's yourself. It's your ability. So he's very good. And obviously our track days as well. Me and Neil, offer to, take you out in our cars, drive you around, and also sit in with you and give you pointers. You know, we're not, by any means, we're not professionals. We've just, we just picked it up over the years that we've been doing this kind of thing. So it gives people a taste of, what, the lines and things of circuits we know. But obviously, if you wanted to get taught by a professional, then yeah, I mean, Jack's the place to start. So that's what we would recommend. And as we cap the engine size off for our track days, you're not going to get anybody that's, like you say, hunting up behind you and scaring you, because obviously you want to be looking forward and not behind you. So we want everybody just to come, relax, have a bit of fun. It's nothing serious. It's just enthusiasts together. But you'll enjoy it because it's more relaxed than people scaring each other to bits. And plus, to be fair, you can't really scare each other in a 100 horsepower car. you can't get you can't go that fast. You scare yourself to the point where you don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
You know.
I know, it's just that, I think for a lot of people, it's just that first leap of faith. This is what I want to do, and then do it. I think that's the, one day I'd really like to try it, and then it just one day never sort of comes around.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's what what people or they do it once and then get scared and never do it again.
so outside of COVID, I know because we have spoke about this before. Can people come and watch the events?
Yeah, people can come and watch. Outside of COVID, the sprint series that we do and our track days we do. Anybody can come along, spectate, come and talk to us, come and talk to the other owners. They're just a friendly bunch of people. That's one thing I liked about getting into the sprinting was that everybody helps everybody else. If you get stuck, somebody's got a tool that you need. They'll throw it to you and say, "Oh, well, I'll come and give you a hand in a minute." That's one of the things I liked about the sprint. About getting into sprinting, that everybody looks after everybody else. It's not to the point where you're all trying to get one over on each other or anything like that. It's nothing like that at all. It's all just friendly banter. And we've made a lot of friends through this, through the sprint series and through our track days and stuff, because everybody stays at the same hotel most of the time, and drinks in the same bar, and within our team that we built up over the last few couple of years as well. You start having pub banter as well. Who's going to beat who? You know, like one of the daft things we did to one of the lads' cars was we chucked his spare tire back in his boot, because obviously you're supposed to empty your boot, so you take your spare tire out and the toolkit out. We chucked his spare tire back in. Obviously, we told him to take it out before he got to the starting line, but still, he wondered why his car felt a little bit heavier. We just want to slow him down. But it's just daft banter like that, and
Yeah,
things
I
like
get
that.
you.
It's a bit of fun.
Yeah, you're always. I think you're always going to gravitate towards people that have the same interests as you, and I think it's very difficult to not have that. If you're all there, you're all racing, you've all got the same interests. Everyone's got a competitive side.
Oh yeah. We
You
do
know,
get a bit competitive, yeah.
so
Especially,
even
you
on the outside of the sprint series, so even on the track days, there's still that little bit of competition, but nothing, no official competition.
no official competition. No, it's just a bit. It is just. I mean, personally, on our track days and stuff, we use it as we use it kind of as a test session. And obviously, for more for and showing people around and what the cars can do. That's what we kind of do on those days. And for everybody else, it's just enjoying their cars, because obviously you're not really supposed to drive like a lunatic on the road. So, you know, and plus you'll always push your car more on the track than you will do on a road, because everything's slightly different. The surface is different, and the corners are different. So it's kind of you'll always it's always two different sides of the coin.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to making some videos because obviously that's what I'm focusing on now. That's it. I just want to make videos. Um, you know, um, even if I'm not on track, I still want to make videos and get the sort of gauge of it because I think it's the most fun that you can have thrashing a car around legally. We all love B roads, but I don't think you can beat being on a track.
No, no, definitely not. Especially somewhere like you know, being as as we are being touring car fans for since we were tiny. So you get to go on the same tracks as touring cars. So you go to Croft, you go to Snetterton. So that's where you've seen your favourite drivers driving their touring cars dead fast down those same straights, them same corners. That's what gives you the buzz. And obviously you start, there's that little bit of competition because you're looking for time. So, and then if there's a group of you, then you start looking for the tenths of seconds over each other. So that's when it starts getting a bit competitive, because you're all hunting for tenths of seconds off each other to who wins your little group. it's not about the overall thing or anything like that. It's who's got, like, say, the fastest little Yaris or Mazda 2 within your group. That's where the fun comes, and that's where you start getting really addicted to. I want to win. I want that tenth of a second. I'll take that extra chance on that last curb. I'll grab an extra 5 mile an hour down that straight. That's when it starts to get into your head, and that's what the buzz is for me. That's me and Neil are just, me and Neil compete against each other all day because that's just just the way we are. But that's what we like, you know.
Who's faster?
I'll give the politically correct answer. We're about both the same, to be honest.
Yeah.
What happens is you get your favorite tracks. You over time. I mean, I've been doing the sprint series since 2012. So you'll get your favorite tracks. You'll get your favorite conditions. So I don't. I prefer the dry. Neil likes the wet tracks. So some tracks will become, say, in the rain, a bit more porous, so the car will slide a bit more. Where I like the dry, where I can just go, full out. So in the wet, I'll be a bit more tentative, rather than, and then Neil won't be. Neil will just go for it. So Neil likes certain tracks, I like certain tracks. So you can never actually compare the two of us. You know what I mean?
What you're saying is he's reckless. that's the gist that I'm getting.
Well, my first ever memory of Neil is watching him with a massive hammer, rearranging the back of his GT86, trying to get it back straight after he'd put it into a barrier at Blyton Park. So yeah, so I didn't know him at that point. I honestly, we weren't friends at that point. I knew of him and I knew the name and I knew the car. And yeah, so that on that day, it kind of like was watching this guy just hammer out the back of this GT86 and thinking, "Ooh, that's gonna cost you." So that's
What's that idiot doing?
Yeah, how did he do that? What was he doing wrong to throw that into the barrier in the dry? So I think it was the dry. I think it was the dry, to be honest. I don't know. I'll have to ask him about that one. I'll have to double check.
He can't drive in the dry. I got it noted. He's actually driven my car.
Has he? Has he driven yours? Has he?
Yeah. So we had a little meet up pre-COVID and all that kind of stuff, and I was getting I really dislike GT86 suspension. Just it feels cheap. Not the suspension itself, but I've got a feeling that it's awful cheap Japanese bushes and stuff like that.
It's just set. It's made at a cost. It's set for everyone. That's what it is.
But so I was smashing along those Yorkshire country twisty roads down to meet it up. First time I ever met him, and the whole way I was like, something's not right. So he drove it. He had a look. He was like, "No, that's just how they are." I was like, "Great, sweet."
Well, yeah. I mean, as daft as it sounds, we've got one of our sponsors, Super Pro Bushes. They're actually based in Australia, and I was speaking to Colin, which is one of the UK managers, about what we're doing and where we're going and what we want to do and everything else. And they, Super Pro, actually sponsor the Time Attack series, but they're always, open to helping like the little man. So we kind of fall into that category. So I was telling him about, the newer Mazda 2 and the older Mazda 2 and everything else. And he was saying that in Australia, where people have already started tracking the new MX-5, which is the one that's out now, they're having massive bush failures, failing on the cars, and becoming very weak and very spongy. So he was asking them, and he said, "Well, give me feedback when you take the Mazda 2 on track, because a lot of the bushes will be the same." And yeah, that's a little bit what they're like. That the bushes are a bit squidgy. Set up for road use rather than track use. So um, he's speaking to their R&D department um, to get us some new bushes sorted and things like that. So yeah, so that'll be interesting. But it's weird that obviously it's happening all the way, in Australia, but you're just slowly getting the feedback back to the UK about what the problems are and everything else. So it was quite interesting for him to bring that up and say, yeah, we'll sort that out for you. So yeah, that's helpful to us.
Um, so sort of winding things down a little bit. Do you want to talk about? Obviously, you just mentioned one of your sponsors there. Do you want to talk about any of them, or give any of them like a shout out, and we can link them and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, so we get all our brakes supplied by Black Diamond brakes, and they developed the kit for us for the Mazda 2 DJ, and obviously they already do the brakes for the DE version, and they are just, yeah, over. I mean, obviously over the years we've used other brands, but this this brand, Black Diamond, does what it says on the tin, and it's not overly expensive, for what they are, and it just, yeah, they just give you the right amount of feel. So we get our brakes all through them. We get all our filters through K&N. K&N are happy to supply our filters for us. And obviously we use Jom suspension. We have used other suspension supplies in the past, but Jom kind of fill the space that we need for those. And obviously, as you know, and probably seen, Powmax are very good with us with our valeting gear that we stock. We've used and tested other brands of valeting gear, but we find that does the best of what, the best job we want them to do. And the same for our tires. We get our tires for the DJ from Yokohama, and they are just brilliant. We use on the DE, we use Avons, and the Avon guy is very good with us as well. So yeah, so everything we fit to the cars, is tested. We wouldn't put it on the cars if we didn't think it worked. So if it was not what we liked, or we didn't think it was up to the job, then we go away and find something else. But everything that we stock, we use on our cars. There's nothing on there that's not tested by us. So yeah, so really we can't complain of the stuff that we use. It's just really all up to the job. So yeah, so it's good to be helped out in those ways by big companies, really, because most
Definitely.
companies just won't look at little teams. But as we move forward and make the team bigger, and we've got customers now in Miami, Florida, which is kind of weird, and we've got people in Sweden. We've got people all over the world sending us messages and asking for information. We had a Mexican rally team asking us, what plans we had for the engine, because they're struggling to get power out of it. So we know don't get us wrong, we don't know everything about these cars. We don't know everything to fine detail. So if we don't know the answer, we will know somebody that can already give you the answer. So we directed them to one of our friends who was more of a specialist in that side of things. So we kind of directed them to them, but they got the answers that they wanted. So yeah, so if anybody's got any questions, or want to ask any stuff, you can just message us directly on Facebook, and we'll answer. Either myself or Neil will answer. So yeah, it'll be good to get you on track though.
Oh, I can't wait. Just got to get this little jaunt over, and then I'll be with you. I'll.
Don't you be getting persuaded by all them big fancy JDM cars out there as well? While you're out there looking at skyline after skyline, or Supra after Supra or Spoon Civic after Civic, you know, you'll get carried away and think, oh, I want one of them. I mean, we all want one of them, you know, we all like them.
The thing is,
Like,
it would work because by the time I'm home, it would just about be arriving in the UK.
well, yeah, you could do that, yeah.
So,
What, have you narrowed it down any yet or not? Have you narrowed it down to a top 5 or top 3?
top 5. Oh, I'm definitely within top 5. It still basically comes down to GTR or S15. I love S15. I don't. I've always wanted to own a GTR, but it's which one. And obviously, it comes down to whatever's available when I get back. You know, I can only buy what's for sale.
Well,
So
unless you look on a Japanese, auction site,
I'm definitely going to have a look at some cars while I'm over there. Let's put it that way.
you know, we
It's
can
definitely
get
going to be JDM anyway, or at least the UK version of the JDM cars is going to be a Japanese brand. But yeah, I've got a few ideas, but we'll see. We'll see. You know what I mean? It's a long way off yet. It's almost a year away. I think it's crazy that I'm prepping to go away, and that's it. I'm going to be back for Christmas. That's it.
Yeah, it'll be a good trip. It's somewhere I've always wanted to go myself. I want to go out there and experience that 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 kind of culture. But the thing that I like the most about it is that they 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 embrace the car market. They embrace the modifying side of it. They embrace the individual. Being an individual. Of that kind of thing. They don't just say that's what you've got. There's no mods for it. Tough luck. They have they have a totally different outlook than we do over here, or the car makers over here.
I think it stems from just the general enthusiasts being really tolerant. So that's then obviously passed on to the companies that supply like a huge range of different things. Like for example, do I like um, a lot of the Varis body kits? You know, they're a bit too
Crazy.
yeah, just a bit too much for me. I'm more of like a subtle, um, but I mean it's the same with the Rocky body kits. Sometimes they're a bit depending on the car. Some of them I think are incredible, but you can't knock people that do like that. I think the
No,
UK car scene is a little bit different. Somebody does something out of the box, and it's he shouldn't have done that. He should have done this instead. He should have, and I ain't got time for that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we don't have the because obviously looking at a lot of stuff on YouTube, a lot of videos from Japan. They have the tuner people. They have people that have like rocket bunny kits. They have stance people. They have all kinds of different kind of outlooks on different kind of the way they build the cars, which is great. Which but at the end they all work together. And then, but over here we just don't seem to kind of embrace that. We just are very, you know, you know, pigeonholed, should we say?
yeah,
You know,
yeah, but
and if you don't like that, then you don't like this, and you can't like that, and you can't like this. It's people
the
just,
thing is though that'll have to change. It'll have to change because eventually, say electric cars have come in. That's it. All of our cars now, up until this point, are now classics. You're not going to have enough people that can afford to do it or have the drive to have a show car or whatever So it's literally going to be a classic car show, and it's going to be everything. It's going to be all the stance type people. It's going to be the old Power Max era. It's going to be everything. Whereas at the minute, everyone's got their own show.
Boy bonnet,
You are?
bad boy bonnets. Those all. I mean, I was brought up. I got into cars from. You know, I was brought up on. I was actually brought up on Vauxhalls. My dad had Vauxhalls. My cousins had Vauxhalls. Mark II. Mark II GEs, Mark II Cavaliers. And then obviously when I went to school, Power Maxed. Power Max had just started. Then a couple of years later, that magazine Revs came out.
Yeah.
So it was all big arches, bad boy bonnets, twin headlamps, Pecco exhausts, all that lot came out, So it was all that kind of started, So that's what we were reading on lunch break at school, all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
you're preaching to the choir. Oh man, my casting couch is right in the way. I've swapped all this around, but I can't make magazines. Like they're just hundreds of them. I love them. The old S2000's in one of these somewhere, but no, I think like I think it'll have to change, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be one of them things we've got to, instead of fighting against it, we're going to be forced to embrace it.
Mm.
That's from that side of things, we're going to have to embrace it. Things have got to move forward, unfortunately. Though I'd rather stay, kind of in the past. It's kind of we've got to slightly move forward. So yeah, it'll be just one of them things we've got to get used to.
Especially after this year, I think.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, definitely.
I wonder
after
how
this year.
I'm wondering how many companies aren't coming back.
It'll be. I think there's going to be a lot of companies that aren't coming back. I mean, I think I'd read something a couple of weeks ago where I think BBS were about to go bust.
Yeah.
think
they've shut. They've ceased to trade.
Yeah, I think Team Dynamics, which are rim stock, I think they were doing a doing a recess, or recessing themselves and everything else. I think there's a lot of companies that'll go under, but I don't know. We're just gonna have to see if we can hopefully come out the other side.
I think if as long as people can just restart after, I've got a feeling that show season, if it happens this year, I'm going to be mighty pissed because I'm not going to be here. But I think it'll come back with a vengeance. People will just want to be outside.
Yeah, people just want to be together and outside. Yeah, so it will come back. There's no doubt about that. It will come back. It's just a case of who's going to organise it. If them companies have gone bust or been shelved, I don't know. But we're just going to have to wait and see what happens.
Right. So I think that's a good place to end. So obviously, thanks for coming on, having a little chat for everyone, and obviously during lockdown, it's difficult to get out and about. So at least we can still do things like this from the comfort of your own lockdown space. And yeah, have you got any final thoughts?
We just want more people to join up, come and join the team. Come and race under our banner. Get into the sprint series with us. And come and support us. Because the more you support us, the more more development we can do. To push things further. Because obviously, when the new cars come in, we've got to move forward. So we've got to keep moving forward, but we've got to have, unfortunately, we've got to have funds to do that. So the more everybody supports us by buying a cup, a beanie, or whatever, or everything else, that just kind of moves moves us forward, but gives you guys out there something to know that somebody's pushing forward to give you more fun things to do in the future. You know, that's the whole point. Because if we all die out, everybody will be just sat, you know, watching the TVs. I see you got your race suit there. Then your race suit's over in the
Oh
corner.
yeah, we.
Have you tried it on yet?
I have. See it? It's
Did it
ready.
fit?
Ready to go. Ooh,
Are you ready?
there we are.
Look at that. Ready to go.
It looks so bright because my light.
Look
Get
at
yourself
that.
a sweet race suit.
That's it.
I can't wait. Honestly, I almost don't want to go away.
Yeah, but you can't give that you're not going to give that opportunity up though. You've got to go and experience it.
And this is directly funding my track car build. So
yeah, you've got to go and do it.
I'm still adamant that I'm just gonna. I'll send you like $5,000, and you can just do all the buy a car, and do all the mods, and pocket the change. I don't care.
Yeah, but yeah, if we had the space, you know, we would. You know, if we had the space to stash stuff, then we probably would. But we don't have. We don't. You know, we don't have. You know, we're running. You know, we're just still working at. You know, building ourselves like a little office space. You know, for us, we don't actually have premises. Neil's doing bits out of his house. I'm doing bits out of my house. It's kind of that's as you know. We want to have our own. You know, little place in the future. So we can
That's my
you know,
goal. I want my
start
own
stuff.
unit.
Yeah, we've got to have our own unit. We'd like to do something where it's kind of I don't know whether you've seen them, but you'll see them when you go to Japan. One thing we do like is if you have a look at the Toyota stuff, the Gazoo Racing, but they have Gazoo Racing pop-up garage. So they have like little tiny garages for Gazoo Racing stuff. So if you got a GT86 or say a GI Yaris or like now a Corolla and something like that, they have little garages and they're so cool. You drive in, you walk into the showroom and you speak to the technicians in there and you say, "Oh, I want those coilovers, those brakes, that air filter, everything else." You pay your monies. They'd then drive the car into the workshop, fit them there and then for you, and then within a couple of hours you drive out with a modded Corolla, Yaris, G86. But they're all these little tiny. They're just a little tiny showroom and garage. You have like 2 bays. That's it. It's like a little pop. It's like a little pop-up thing. It's brilliant. I love them. I think they've got a telly in there. They've got they've got a coffee machine in there. They've got, they've got a PlayStation. One of the ones I looked at, they have a full-size remote control racetrack upstairs. So that you can play with remote control car Supras or whatever around their track whilst they're fitting bits to your car. That's how you can buy their clothes. Yeah, it's living the dream. That's you can buy their clothes as well and their race suits while you're there. It's really cool. We would love something like that over here. So if we could have like a 2Racing pop-up garage where you drive your Mazda 2 in, or we encourage other makes of car as well. We can get other stuff for other cars. You just got to message us directly, drive your car in, your stuff's pre-ordered. We'll get we'd have a technician to fit it, and then you drive away happy as Larry. That's what we want to see in the future. That'd be cool to have the first one of those in the UK. But that's just a pipe dream kind of long way off thing. But if we keep at it, we'll get there.
It'll come.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's been great speaking, and hopefully, we can do more. In the upcoming months, prior to me going away, and I mean, we could even do one from Japan, and we can do whatever. I'll definitely have content coming out. Obviously, you're gonna have content coming out. I'll link your YouTube page and everything that we spoke about
Yeah.
But yeah, just obviously keep your eyes peeled for more 2Racing announcements and news and stuff like that in the future. All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
Well, we'll speak soon.
Yep. See you on the other side, buddy.
See you
Catch you
later.
later.
Bye bye.
Bye.